Hello, and before I get the compilation popping, I just wanted to say a couple things referring to the compilation because there's a couple of errors with some of the bios in terms of not what I say, but more like the graphics on there. And there are a couple of times where I may have said something that I'm thinking back, oh, I'm kind of wrong about that. But for the most part, I think the bios are good, well written, and are very, well, after a certain point, are pretty pleasing to look at. And I kind of wanted to make this compilation to not only condense down all my thoughts about the Pokemon you could get in Pokemon Red and Blue, even though the walkthrough finished a while ago, but I thought it would be a nice trip back down memory lane before the next walkthrough happens of Pokemon Gold and Silver. And, I got this idea from a channel, I got the name of it, that does the bio compilations for Trigger Conroy. And that's obviously where I got the bio idea from, because it's a great way to have a template for giving your formal feelings about a Pokemon within the context of the journey. Oh, there's one more thing, though, in that the first couple of episodes, I was just getting my footing with editing in general. So, and like designing like templates and graphics and stuff. So, first couple episodes worth of bios kind of jank looking. But after, like, once we get to Cerulean, I believe the template that was held for most of the playthrough, that's pretty good. It start to be used. So, yeah, you might want to listen to this other podcast. You might just want to just YouTube Premium and maybe go on a run with this, because I think it's good audio and the visuals not necessarily always popping off. So I hope you enjoy either way, and maybe you find this informative for your time in Gen 1. I'll be leaving timestamps in the description if you want to skip to any Pokemon in particular. So thank you so much for watching, and hope you enjoy this compilation, and I hope you come and watch my future Pokemon walkthroughs. Thank you very much. So Bulbasaur is a grass poison type Pokemon that stays grass poison throughout its life. This typing makes it effective early in the game, but as you go on, you'll see that extra poison typing is nothing but a hindrance, giving you no advantage offensively because it knows no attacking poison type moves, which I'll kinda explain later. It has a high special stat and decent speed. Bulbasaur is more than a viable option. I would say that's the easiest one to use at first, because it's very effective against the first two bosses in the game, and yeah, just overall pretty good Pokemon. I'm not gonna go with it, because I play with Bulbasaur a lot. It's actually one of my favorite Pokemon. But next Pokemon I'm gonna go over is Charmander, the lizard Pokemon. This is the most challenging to use because it's weak to the first two gyms, kind of like the inverse of a Bulbasaur, and only having a clear upper hand over one gym or one boss throughout the game. And I'll explain what a gym is. I mean, if you don't know, I'll explain it later. It will eventually become a fire flying type, giving it a quad weakness to rock. Charmander also deals with the same problem as Bulbasaur when it gains a flying type, that it knows no flying type moves. If you want a challenge, Charmander is definitely for you. So yeah, I'm not going with Charmander either. I am going to go with Squirtle, the tiny turtle. And I'll explain why. I mean, Squirtle stays water type through its whole life, and it's pretty solid. It doesn't have it as easy as Bulbasaur for the first two gyms, but it will prove lethal in later gyms. With high defenses and a good special stat, Squirtle can dish out and take great amount of damage. Like, it's a tank when it gets fully evolved, and Squirtle probably has the best moveset out of three, but that's not saying much. Like I did said in my Pokemon Blue randomizer Nuzlocke, the movesets and learn sets in this game are horrible, but at least Squirtle and its family has a decent one. Because anything that knows Surf, that's the only move that you really need. So, but it's pretty solid though. Can complement pretty much whatever team you're going for. You might have a water type in mind already, but I think there's nothing wrong with having two water types on one team, because the water type is, in my opinion, the best type. But objectively, I think it's other types. But first of all, Pokemon is Rattata, a normal type. Rattata, definitely interesting. in this game, it's kind of a glass cannon having high attack and speed, but pretty much below average everything else. It can learn a couple of powerful special moves, but really can't take advantage of them due to a low special stat. I would avoid Raticate because of lack of versatility, compounded by the fact that normal type is effective against nothing. But I want to get this clear. It does know a diverse set of moves, but it really can't take advantage of because of its low special stat. So if you don't really care about power output, but just having a lot of super effective moves, Raticate and its evolved form would be very good, because I used Raticate in my recent Pokemon Yellow playthrough, and it was very good for me. It was very good. It complemented my team well, but there was no powerhouse by any means. But yeah, a pretty solid Pokemon if you want to go catch it early. Pidgey. It is a normal flying type, and it's the quintessential normal flying type in my opinion, because the first one of its kind sequentially attacked in the game technically, and but so Pidgey basically sets the precedent of these solid beginners flying types. Pidgey will grow to be a fine Pokemon, but it will be rough if you picked up a Charmander because of the first gym. So if you want a Pidgey and you picked up a Charmander, you should probably eat it later, but then again, it'll be pretty lethal for the first dungeon in the game, so it is something that you have to negotiate for yourself. Anyways, it is solid and can come in handy for some bosses down the line, but can be useless for others, for like the first one. Its moveset is pretty much limited to flying and normal, but that's okay. You can probably find a better, but Pidgey will grow to hold its own. Kind of take hits as it has good defenses and solid attack. Alright, here we go. What's my new Pokemon? Nidoran Male. So Nidoran Male is a poison type. This is our first pure poison type, giving it resistance to many of the common moves in the game, and at level 14 it'll learn a very weak poison move, which doesn't help too much, but at least it's something. It's pretty hard to use at first because of that move and just lack of moves in general, but it grows into a pretty solid mixed attacker. As it grows, it gains a ground type and giving it an extra weakness without many moves to take advantage of it, but it does have one big one, which is pretty much all you need. But if you do want this, I recommend holding off and catching it until it is more useful for you, because it's not going to be useful for the first part of the game, I would say. But it has good attacking stats and it's a good special stats, so it's definitely worth picking up if you just want a solid piece to your team. There's a couple more new Pokemon I can find, like Spearow. Spearow is a normal flying type, another one, but there's no carbon copy. Spearow is much more aggressive, has a higher speed and attack than Pidgey. In my eyes, it only has 2 good moves, but that's really all you need. I feel that it's just a better Pidgey. I mean, don't worry about leveling up because the first gym is rock type, but the dungeon before that is all bug types, which Spearow and Pidgey for that matter can just feast on. I recommend it though. I like it a lot. Yes, I was able to find it. This is the counterpart of Nidoran Male. It is more likely that you will find this in Pokemon Blue. That's why it took me so long to go get it. It's like Nidoran Male and Pokemon Blue. No, actually in Pokemon Red it is more common, my bad. It just took me a long time to get it. But anyways, Nidoran Female is more defensive, but it still has pretty good attacking and special stats. But it's way more defensive, not as aggressive, but it knows pretty much all the same moves, and it does have the same plight of not having good early level up moves. But still, it's pretty solid. I mean, the stats aren't that different, but Nidoran Female is more defensive. I would recommend. Oh baby, a Weedle. Okay, Weedle is a new Pokemon you can find here on Route 2. The next little dungeon I'm about to go into is gonna be filled with these bad boys. Well, it's gonna be filled with these bad boys if you're playing Pokemon Blue. I mean Pokemon Red more than Blue. But in Route 2 you can only find Weedle in Red. If you're playing Blue, you're gonna get Caterpie only here, but you can get both in both games coming up pretty soon though. Anyways, on to Weedle. Bug Poison type. It grows pretty quickly. By level 10 it'll be fully evolved, giving it a large power advantage for like the first beginning part of the game. But due to its poor typing, it's weak to 4 common types in the game, and its pitiful defenses like won't be able to like stand big hits. So don't be surprised when it dies in 2 or even 1 hit later on in the game. It does learn some pretty powerful moves though, but that's not until way later on, and that's the point where it can no longer keep up with the other strong Pokemon in the game. I wouldn't get it unless you think its final form looks cool, or you have plans of just getting rid of it later. But I think its final form looks cool. Caterpie is a bug type, it's purely bug. It grows just as quickly as Weedle. By level 10 it will be fully evolved, having a very large power advantage for the beginning part of the game, just like Weedle. It might be tough to use at first, but once it evolves, you have a large power advantage very quickly. It still has those 4 weaknesses, including a quad weakness to rock, so that's 4 times damage. If a rock type is hitting you with a rock type move, it's going to hit you with 6 times damage, so not very good. But I can look past that because you can always switch out, and because of its strong moveset paired with its high special stat, it can dish out a lot of damage to a lot of different type of foes. It can also learn status moves such as the ability to paralyze or poison an opponent, or make an opponent go to sleep in later games. Caterpie can grow into a very useful member of your team. Just have a good type coverage in other places, and don't be afraid to switch out. New one being Kakuna, the evolution of Weedle. It is bug poison still. It's basically I don't know how to describe this. It's shitty, okay? It's just shitty. So it evolves from Weedle at level 7. So yes, this Kakuna right here is hacked. It's level 5. It has no moves besides Harden. If you catch it out in this state, if you get a Weedle and evolve with a Kakuna, it's actually okay. But if you catch it a one from the wild, it'll only know Harden, a move that can only boost its defense, and it doesn't have any attacking moves, not even something like Leechy that saps health. So you're gonna be stuck using Harden until and you gotta use Harden and switch out or something and try to get experience that way, because if you switch out and the other Pokemon kills it, they split the experience. So no, it is called Metapod, and I'm not gonna go through the trouble of trying to find Metapod because it's a 5% chance of trying to find that bad boy in Pokemon Red. So I'm just gonna talk about it. It's the evolved form of Caterpie, so spoilers I guess. Has a different base stats spread, but not more base stats. It's just distributed differently. It's not more powerful than its predecessor, like I'm trying to say, not because of its decreased attack stat, but rather the fact that it only knows Harden when you catch it, just like Kakuna. It knows no attacking moves. Harden just raises the defense, so the only way to level it up again is to evolve through that switch method, or you can use Harden 40 times and use the move Struggle. But if you want Butterfree, which it does evolve into, just catch a Caterpie because it knows Tackle. When it evolves into a Metapod, it will actually be useful. So yeah, that's Metapod. Catch a Caterpie if you want the final form. But there's also another Pokemon you can find here, very, very rare, 5% of the time in both games. It is Pikachu, the mascot of Pokemon, and it's rare. It's only found in this place in this game, like in one spot 5% of the time. So I don't know if that was smart to do. But anyways, it's not going to be useful during the first boss. It can develop into quite a reliable Pokemon. It has pretty good special stat and great speed. The downfall is that the moveset isn't diverse, but it's still more than usable. So yeah, that's Pikachu. That's a Metapod that I can't show you. I can go over the new Pokemon. I mean, first you have Pidgey, you got Spearow, but the new Pokemon you can see here is Jigglypuff. It's a pure normal type that you can evolve relatively quickly via a Moonstone. It has low defense and mediocre stats all around, besides its HP, which is pretty high. It has a diverse learn set if you use TMs, but I recommend you use your TMs on a more powerful Pokemon because its stats just aren't that great. And its moves that learn through level up aren't very good either. They're all normal type attacking moves, which aren't that great to begin with. But what makes Jigglypuff special is its ability to put Pokemon to sleep with the move Sing, which is 50% accurate. But it makes it, when you do hit it, puts wild Pokemon to sleep, or any Pokemon to sleep. But when using on wild Pokemon, it makes it a lot easier to catch. A big boost modifier on when you're trying to catch Pokemon. But there are better sleep inducing moves on better Pokemon. like Butterfree, for example, that will learn a move called Sleep Powder, in like a 5 or 6 levels, and that's 75% accurate. So at the end of the day, it's just a weaker Rattata that can put Pokemon to sleep. And if you catch it now, which I think is the only time you can catch it, it'll be hard to use in the upcoming dungeon. So unless you're a fan of its antics from the anime, yeah, I don't think it's worth the headache that it's gonna be. But I mean, there's one perk. In Mount Moon, you can get the Moonstone, which you can evolve Jigglypuff rather quickly, but you're just making those shitty stats a little bit better, just a little bit. But this is the Pokemon that the guy in the Pewter Pokemart was talking about. It is not a very good Pokemon. He said he got scammed out of it, but 5 Pokeyen, if that's real yen, that's like not even anything in American dollars. So let's talk about Magikarp as a Pokemon. So before you make this decision, it's nice to inform yourself as always, but I'm not being hyperbolic when I say this. Magikarp is a horrible Pokemon. One of the worst in the game, if not the worst. It's worse than Kakuna and worse than a wild Metapod, because at least they're technically boosting their stats with Harden. But until level 15, Magikarp does absolutely nothing with the move Splash. Splash does nothing in battle. That's the only move it knows until level 15. So in order to level this thing up, you have to either wait until you get enough rare candies to level up to level 15, or more realistically, you're gonna have to do switch battling for the next 10 levels. It's gonna be a little bit when you switch battling, because you're dividing the experience by at least 2. And you couldn't want to fight it with it if you tried. I mean, even when it does learn Tackle, it still has shitty stats. It's not very good. It literally does nothing until level 15, so you have to use a switch method. But with that being said, if you didn't get Squirtle and you want a really good water type down the line, you don't mind the headache until Magikarp evolves, get it. Pay the 500 Pokeyen. It'll actually save you money if you're gonna get it anyway, because eventually Magikarp will evolve into a very, very useful water type. And get it now, because if you wait, there's other useful water types as well. So it's the perfect time to get a Magikarp if you want one. Here in Mount Moon, you'll find a couple of new Pokemon, such as Zubat. Zubat's poison flying type, and if you're a veteran of Pokemon series, you know that this thing is in almost every cave in almost every game. Just because it's common doesn't mean it's bad. Well, in the rest of generations, it isn't bad, but in this game, boy, do we have a stinker. It's a poison flying type, like I said, a combination unique to the Zubat family, giving it 4 resistances and 4 weaknesses. Not a great amount, but that's not the worst of it. Zubat learns no poison type attacking moves and doesn't learn any attacking flying type moves until level 28. So no same type attack bonus for a while if you pick it up right now. Its learn set is complete garbage. If you don't mind using the TMs, you can make its evolved form into an alright mixed attacker, because it does have okay stats. But I would take a hard pass on this. The Zubat line gets really good in later games, but for now it's a waste of effort trying to make it useful. Next up is Geodude, another staple of caves and Pokemon games, but it's kind of the inverse of the Zubat condition. Geodude is at its best in this game, although that's not saying much. It has 5 common weaknesses and 5 resistances. There's going to be parts in this game where Geodude is completely unusable, such as the next gym, but also places where it can be dominant and untouchable, such as the 3rd gym. It doesn't have a diverse learn set, but it learns what it needs, which is enough. It's an extremely powerful Pokemon with high attack and high defense. There are 2 knocks on it though. To get its 3rd form, you must trade it to another cartridge and trade it back, which is expensive or at least annoying. The other knock is that it's pretty much always going to go second unless you're over level because it's speed. And then there's Paris, a little bit more rare than the first 2. It is a grass bug type. Not a very good Pokemon. It's slower than Geodude and its moveset is rather garbage. What makes it special is that it can learn the move Spore, a sleep-inducing move that has 100% accuracy, the only one of its kind, but it's outclassed by a lot of other grass types and by a few bug types as well, such as my Butterfree Sam, those of which also learn effective enough sleep moves, like Bulbasaur can learn Sleep Powder, and like I said, Butterfree can learn Sleep Powder as well, which has 75% accuracy, I believe. So don't think that this would be a Bulbasaur replacement if you got another starter instead, because it's not. It's hard to raise and hard to use. Now for the rarest Pokemon in Mount Moon, Clefairy. Clefairy can be quite the utility player if you're willing to invest TMs into it. Even though it's a normal type and learns mostly normal type moves through level up, Clefairy is at its best when you teach it types that it can take advantage of Clefairy's special stat. Clefairy can be used to fill pretty much any coverage hole on your team. A bonus is that you can evolve it using the Moonstone by the end of the dungeon. One minus is that it's going to be a while until you get the TMs that maximizes its potential. In the Dome Fossil, you're going to get the Pokemon Kabuto. You're not going to be able to revive this thing into an actual usable Pokemon until a little bit later, actually pretty late in the game, but you get it at level 25 then. And depending on how early you go to Cinnabar Island, it'll probably fit on your team nicely. It's a rock water type, it's not the best typing, but Kabuto actually has high attack, high defense, but really good speed. I mean, not superb or anything, but it's pretty average and it's very usable and knows a lot of good water type and rock moves. It's overall a solid Pokemon, a very good attacker, and if you're willing to raise it up just a little bit when you do revitalize it, I think you won't be sorry. It's a pretty good water type, but then again, you do have to wait quite a long time to actually use the Pokemon. But if you're patient with it, I think you're definitely going to have a good payoff with Kabuto. And in the Helix Fossil, you get Omanite, a very, very good Pokemon. It's the same rock water type of Kabuto, but it's even better because it has high special and high defense. It is quite a bit slower, but personally, I'm partial to Pokemon that's going to have high special because it's basically having high special means basically have high special attack and special defense, as I explained before. So it has 3 really high stats, and it doesn't need the attack stat, and speed is okay. So if you're looking for another water type, or a different water type that's not Magikarp, or you didn't get a starter and you don't like fishing, if you're patient, like I said before, you're gonna do very well for yourself if you try to get an Omastar or Omanite. It's very good defensively. It's not gonna get knocked out in one hit by most electric type moves, depending on where it's coming from. But yeah, pretty solid Pokemon. If you're willing to wait, it will be great. I want to talk about is Ekans. Exclusive to Pokemon Red, it has only 2 weaknesses and has a below average special stat. Its most powerful poison type move is Acid, which only has 40 power. Not great, but it does learn Earthquake though, a very powerful ground type move. To me, it's just another average Gen 1 Pokemon. Questionable base stats, questionable learn set, vaguely usable. That could be said for a lot of these Pokemon, but exclusive to Pokemon Blue, if you're a Pokemon Blue player, you get Sandshrew. It's an interesting Pokemon to me. It's basically Geodude, except it traded some of the speed, some of the power for some speed. Sandshrew is a pure ground type, which is better than Rock Ground in terms of weaknesses. It doesn't learn any stab moves though through level up, so again, another Pokemon you're going to have to spend some TMs on. But if you think Sandshrew is cool, it is a solid alternative to Geodude and other ground types. Poliwhirl for Jinx. I don't have a Poliwhirl, and I probably won't have it for a while, and you probably won't either. But we can still talk about Jinx, because I think going over Jinx now will actually sell you on the idea of doing this trade. So although you can't get a Poliwhirl until way later, until you get a Super Rod, which is a while from now, if you're interested in a fast Psychic type Pokemon that already has the power of fully evolved Pokemon and doesn't evolve, so you don't have to worry about that. Jinx has high speed, high special, but it's not going to be able to take many hits. It's a glass cannon, but with the right strategy, it can be almost unstoppable through most of the game. It's part Ice type, which gives it 2 more weaknesses than most Psychic types, but Jinx has access to water type moves to take care of those fire or rock types that may take advantage of that Ice typing. Once you get the Poliwhirl, be sure to come back and get this thing, even if you don't want it for your team. This is the only Jinx in the game, so if you're trying to complete that Pokédex, you have to do this trade. The first new Pokemon I want to talk about is Oddish. Oddish is exclusive to Red version and is a solid grass poison type with high special and decent attack and defense. In theory, Oddish can grow into a lethal mixed attacking tank. In practice, you might feel that there isn't enough moves to take advantage of these stats. There are some moves though. When you get the Takedown and Mega Drain TMs, don't be afraid to use it here. Oddish also has access to Stun Spore, Sleep Powder, and Poison Powder. You need an Evolutionary Stone to get its final form though, but that won't be that big of a deal. If you're a red player, this is a decent Bulbasaur replacement, unlike Paris. Oddish's blue version counterpart is Bellsprout, also a poison grass type. It is a better overall Pokemon compared to Oddish. The Bellsprout The Bellsprout family has higher or equal stats in every way besides defense, which isn't much lower. Bellsprout learns better moves though through level up. It can be aggressive or defensive depending on how you use it, unlike Oddish, which is just more of an overall tank. If you're a Pokemon Blue player and don't already have a grass type, go ahead and get Bellsprout now. It's close to learning Poison Powder and Sleep Powder by the time you get it. It'll be very useful in the upcoming gym, because the upcoming gym is water type. And now for the last Pokemon on Route 24 I want to talk about is Abra. Abra, we saw it in the Rifle Blue fight earlier, where it looked pretty useless. But it can grow into something pretty fantastic, just give it time. It's our first catchable Psychic type in the game. It's extremely hard to catch due to it teleporting out of battle immediately, meaning that you're just going to have to throw a ball at it and hope it works on the first turn. That's what I mean by saving that great ball for a rare Pokemon or hard to catch Pokemon. I would use it on this, or wait till later we can buy great balls and stuff like that. But if you're able to catch it and raise it to level 16, you will have one of the best special attackers in the game. You will have to trade to get its final form, which will make it the best special attacker in the game in my opinion. But if you don't have the ability to trade, keeping it at stage 2 is still a great Pokemon. But there are two flaws to Abra overall: hard to raise because of teleport being its only move until level 16, and its evolved form doesn't have a diverse moveset. You're mainly going to be using Psychic type moves, not anything else. If you don't want to deal with the stress of trying to catch and raise this Pokemon, there are other strong options out there. You just might have to wait for them, like Jinx. You got that right, there is 2 new Pokemon on this route, first of which is Mankey. Exclusive to Pokemon Red, Mankey is a pretty good fighting type sweeper as it has high attack and high speed. It's pretty fragile though. When it's fully evolved, its defense, HP, and special are all woefully below average, which is fine. Once you get some TMs for Mankey, you 1 and 2 shot a lot of Pokemon in the game. At least in my experience, that is the case. You'll mainly be using fighting and normal type moves, so keep that in mind. Mankey is a really solid fighting type, but if you don't like its low defenses, you can definitely wait for a fighting type that better suits your team. Next up is Meowth. Meowth is a Pokemon Blue exclusive normal type Pokemon with a very unique archetype. At face value, Meowth seems like a trash Pokemon. Looking only at its base stats, Meowth only has good speed, and all other stats are pretty garbage. But Meowth has a good bit to bring to the table. It has high speed, which is good for cleaning up on damaged teams. Its high speed means that you're going to get a lot of crits, especially when it learns to move Slash, which has a heightened critical hit ratio. So towards the end of the game, you're going to be doing 3 times damage because the high crit's going to be times 2, and the stab with Slash is going to do an extra 50%, so that makes it times 3 damage, and the speed is going to make the crits happen almost more likely than not. So you can do a lot of damage towards the end of the game. And Meowth can also learn to move Payday, which can get you a couple extra dollars here and there during a battle if you use it, and also does a decent normal type damage for this part in the game. But long term, you definitely want to switch over to Slash. Although not a powerhouse, Meowth can be very useful with the right strategy. So that's Meowth for you. Yubi proposed a trade for Farfetch'd. This is the 3rd trade in the game, and by far the worst. So, if you have a Spearow on your team, do not trade it. Like, if you are using it to be like a main member of your team, do not trade that Spearow, it's too valuable. But if you do need Farfetch'd to complete the Pokédex, so you do have to do this trade if you want to complete the game. So, this is my instructions to you. Go out, buy a shitty Spearow that you don't give a crap about, trade that Spearow for the Farfetch'd, get Farfetch'd in your Pokédex, like its information or whatever, box Farfetch'd immediately, and then contemplate releasing the damn thing, because you might not even want it in your box. You might not even want to see the dumb thing. Don't have this thing on your team as a flying slave, because it's not worth it. Like, don't teach it to fly HM to fly around, because there's always the off chance that your HM slaves will be switching to battle, and if it gets switching to battle, you might as well just put up your hands and say, I'm fucked. Like, just make your plans to give up the Pokemon to the trainer, and you're done. You're not gonna win with Farfetch'd, but because its stats are fucking atrocious. There's not a single stat above 65, so it's already woefully a below average. I guess the strategy of Farfetch'd is to use Swords Dance and Slash, but there's no use in using Swords Dance because you're boosting shitty stats. I could just catch a Pokemon with actual good stats and not have to use Swords Dance. Slash is also shitty because it's not as likely to crit compared to Persian because it has less than half the speed of Persian, I believe. I guess it has stab going for it with Slash as well, but who gives a shit at this point? It's terrible. It's almost always gonna go second. It's not gonna get a crit, and it's just that's terrible. To horrible. It's to horrible. That's to horrible damage output. If you want a normal flying type, there's a couple of them in this game. We've seen with Pidgey, we've seen with Spearow. There's another one a little bit later on in the game, and they're all better than this. There is a different Pokemon you can find in this patch of grass here. Well, there's at least one new one, and it is Voltorb. Voltorb is a pure electric type that evolves into the fastest Pokemon in the game. When fully evolved, you have about a 27% chance of getting a critical hit on any given turn with any attacking move. That's kind of where the positives stop for Voltorb though. Most of his stats are average or well below it. Its level up moves are pretty garbage, and the TMs it can learn aren't diverse or that useful. After you catch Voltorb, it's only going to know Tackle, Sonic Boom, and Screech, moves that aren't very useful at all, especially at this point in the game. And the next move it learns will be Self-Destruct, like around level 22, which may help you win battles, but it isn't going to get any experience for Voltorb because it's going to faint before the other Pokemon faint, so it's not going to be able to get experience. But if you want an electric type and you didn't get Pikachu earlier on, just wait, pass on Voltorb. There will be another chance to get a really good electric type later on. So in the end, Voltorb's speed may be attractive, but its damage output and defenses are frustratingly bad. Now I'm back around 11, I just realized there's new Pokemon here. The only new Pokemon in the grass that you can find is Drowsy. Drowsy is a really good Pokemon in this game, although most of its stats are average to below average. Its special stat is up there with the Aber family at a resounding 115, very, very elite. Its only special attacking move is that's worth using is Psychic, but it does a hell of a lot of damage to most Pokemon. On paper, its lack of move diversity may appear to be a problem, but in practice, its damage output makes it more than viable. The problem here for me is speed. Drowsy will go second a lot, so if you see a Pokemon that has Pin Missile, switch or prepare to get Pin Missile raped. So if you ever see a Jolteon, get the fuck out of there, Drowsy users. I'm looking for Nidorino. Want to trade for Nidorina? This is new Pokemon I was talking about. So in this trade, you can get a Nidorina. I mean, technically, we went over Nidoran female before, but Nidorina is a new Pokemon. So I might as well go over it. If you change your mind on Nidorino and you want a little more defensive and still very versatile, go ahead and make the trade. Nidorina can cover almost any team's coverage holes and cover most of its own weaknesses, but be aware that most of its best moves are TMs that you only get one of. A plus though is that you can evolve it immediately with the Moonstone. Diglett is the first one we're going to go over. Diglett is a pure ground type with incredible speed and decent attack. It has bad special, HP, and defense, so it's not taking many hits, but that problem won't be its main one. Diglett doesn't have a diverse moveset. Only knowing normal and ground type attacking moves, which is fine, but probably not going to be getting many super effective hits though. The appeal of Diglett is its raw damage output, and that's always almost gonna go first in a battle. Diglett is good for clearing up weakened teams, kind of like Persian, and it's sometimes good for all-out sweeping. If you're looking for a Pokemon with high physical attack output and don't care about defenses, then go with Diglett. And it's a great time to go get a Diglett because electric type gym is coming up and ground is immune to electric. The second Pokemon you can find here is Dugtrio. All it is Diglett's evolved form. If you catch Diglett, it will evolve at level 26, or you can catch Dugtrio outright at levels 29 and 31, I believe. what I said about Diglett still reigns true here. I recommend you use Diglett on teams with 4 or less Pokemon, because that means more experience for Diglett and Dugtrio, which means it'll grow faster and be over leveled, and the more over leveled you are, the less defenses start to matter because you're getting more one-hit KOs with your higher attack stats. If you want a Dugtrio right away, you can just get a Pokemon between the levels 23 and 29 to the front of your party and spray repels, because that will just limit you to getting higher level Pokemon. And the Dugtrios in here, I had a tough time saying that. The Dugtrios in here are a way higher level than the Digletts in here, so it's a nice little trick that you can use to get Dugtrio really early in the game, and Dugtrio's gonna dominate very early on. Yeah, I'm looking for an Abra. Wanna trade for a Mr. Mime? Alright, so if you don't have access to trading, but you still want a dominant psychic type, Mr. Mime is your answer, at least partially. Mr. Mime has less of every stat besides defense compared to Alakazam, and also doesn't have access to the move Recover, but still is a good Pokemon. Mr. Mime is basically the special attacking version of a Dugtrio, but slower. So that defense becomes more of a problem because it is slower. Mr. Mime isn't for every team like Alakazam is. It needs to be surrounded by a couple of bulky Pokemon to switch in for it sometimes. Mr. Mime can be very effective and sometimes somewhat annoying to use, but either way, it's pretty easy to level up because it's going to get a 50% bonus on EXP games due to it being obtained through a trade, which I haven't really said before, because this is the only Pokemon I usually use on my team from in-game trades, and I always like that little added perk where Pokemon could be resurrected from it. Wait a second, you tell me the shush and then you're so you're really going shh, but my colleagues just ignore me, so I have to ask a favor. Take us to the Pokemon lab and get it examined. Alright. So he tells me to be quiet and he starts yelling. Alright. But anyways, focus back on the main goal. We got the old Amber, which is another fossil that you don't have to make a tough decision on. It contains the Pokemon Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl, I didn't plan on like doing a bio right now, but I guess I might as well. Aerodactyl is a very fast and powerful Pokemon. It's all around pretty good and powerful. Like I said, there's nothing really special I really say about it. I think it's a really good rock type. It has a lot of weaknesses though. I prefer Graveler. I mean, Geodude could get a lot earlier in the game. Aerodactyl you get a little bit late for my taste, and like I said, a lot of weaknesses. And it's gonna be naturally weaker than like a Graveler or a Golem at the stage you do get it at because of the EVs. But I do think if you want a faster rock type that can still deal a lot of damage, Aerodactyl is definitely still a threat in this game. And Aerodactyl is a very good Pokemon. It's just not up to my taste. And you get it late in the game. That's kind of the reason why I don't like it. But Aerodactyl is definitely a very good Pokemon. In the right tunnel, we can obtain 2 new Pokemon, the first of which is Machop. Machop is a pure fighting type Pokemon with an elite attack stat. It specializes in fighting and normal type moves, which won't allow for many super effective hits, but does allow you to hit almost anything without being resisted. TMs are a must though, if you want this thing to be able to fend for itself against tougher opponents later in the game. In terms of speed, it is quite slow, but Machop can take physical hits just fine with its good HP and defense. When it comes to special though, it's a different story. More often than not, Machop will go down in 1 or 2 hits to any special attacker that's worth it down. With the negatives in mind, you can still have Machop as a pivotal piece to your team, just have Pokemon around it that can inflict sleep or paralysis on the opponent, then have Machop switch in to clean up. Machop is usable on its own, but to realize its full potential and to keep it from risky situations, a team-oriented approach is the way to go. The next new Pokemon is Onix. Extremely high defense, fast for a rock ground type. That's about where the positives end for Onix. Its attack, HP, and special are pitifully low, making it a frustrating struggle to use. It's 4 times weak to water and grass, the 2 most common types in the game, both of which are special attackers. Its inability to deal out a lot of damage compounds the frustration because if it had high attack, it would be a higher risk, high reward Pokemon. But using Onix is just a high risk. it can learn some powerful moves, but obviously Onix won't be able to take advantage of any of them because it doesn't have the attack behind those moves to make it a threat for your team. Onix isn't any good. Catch a Geodude. Gastly is the first Pokemon I want to go over here. It's a ghost poison type that is hard to raise due to its very lacking learn set, but there is potential here. With high special and speed, to compare it to Alakazam would be fair, although Gastly is a little bit more bulky and a little less more special oriented. There are no questions about Gastly's family's power. The question is how to channel it. It learns no powerful ghost or poison type moves. Both types are calculated as physical types anyway, so stab won't be an option here unless you plan on beating the game with Lick. If you want to, be my guest on that one. But to make Gastly viable, teach it strong special TMs such as Thunderbolt that we got from Lieutenant Surge if you didn't use it already. If you want to take this route though, you'll be able to take advantage of a lot of powerful special moves, just it won't be as powerful as in later games because none of those special moves are ghost or poison. So the next Pokemon is the evolution of Gastly. It is Haunter. At level 25, Gastly will evolve into this, and it's pretty much the same as Gastly but more powerful. I have nothing new to say here besides that Haunter does evolve itself, but to get that final form you have to do it via trade, which again can be troublesome but is well worth it if you're already dedicated the time into getting that far anyway. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Haunter. Lastly, there is Cubone. Cubone is a lesser version of Sandshrew, who itself is a lesser version of Geodude. In terms of stats, Cubone is slightly lower compared to Sandshrew. In terms of learn set, much lesser. Cubone can't learn Slash or Swords Dance, which Sandshrew can. Cubone is definitely useful when you get access to Earthquake and Strength, but Sandshrew and Golem can do more damage with those moves. If you're looking for a challenge, Cubone is for you, because there's multiple Pokemon that could do Cubone's role much better than it can. The first new Pokemon I want to go over is Vulpix. Exclusive to Pokemon Blue, Vulpix is not a very versatile Pokemon. It learns mostly fire and normal type moves. Vulpix's fire type moves are quite powerful though, due to it having a very high special, and its normal moves don't do that bad because Vulpix has an average attack. If you need a strong fire type, Vulpix is a good option, especially for the upcoming gym. But beware, Vulpix evolves through a Firestone, and if you use it before level 35, Vulpix will miss out on a very strong fire type move, Flamethrower. Because once you evolve it, it won't be able to learn through level up anymore, and its evolution form does not learn through TM. So yeah, you completely miss out on it. So there is another fire TM that has a stronger base power but it's less accurate. It's called Fire Blast. You can use, if you just want to evolve Vulpix as soon as you can, and you're just going to teach a Fire Blast down the line, you can go that route as well. So there you go. That's Vulpix for you. The next new Pokemon is Growlithe. It is exclusive to Pokemon Red. Growlithe has high attack and speed with good defense and special. Its moveset is just as bad as Vulpix, except it doesn't learn Flamethrower until level 50. Jesus. Growlithe also evolves through the Firestone and won't be able to learn Flamethrower after you evolve it. For me, level 35 is doable, but level 50 is just, it's insane waiting that long for its first powerful stab move. I recommend teaching a Fire Blast and evolving it as soon as possible. In the meantime, since it's high attack and it has normal moves, it will be able to be a little bit more viable in the meantime. Better than Vulpix definitely, because it has higher attack with those normal moves. But in the long term, you probably want to go with Vulpix because, I mean, it's just a better option. You learn Flamethrower a lot earlier, and you don't have to use a Fire Blast team on it if you don't want to, but that's just my opinion. Then trade Pokemon, okay. That is the only way to complete the Pokedex, so trade by yourself. Yep, and we could take this Eevee right here. If you don't know what Eevee is, I guess I'll go over it right now. There's no more room for it. Okay. It went to box 1. Cool. But let's go over Eevee. It is quite the unique Pokemon because Eevee gives you the option to evolve it into 3 different Pokemon based on what evolutionary stone you give to it. Since we can evolve Eevee immediately, because we can buy stones whenever we want from the department store, I'm not going to analyze Eevee that deeply, but I'm rather going to analyze its evolutions. By using a Thunderstone on Eevee, you get Jolteon, high special, and even higher speed. If you want a Pokemon that rains down pure electric destruction and not much else, go for it. Hopefully you save your Thunderbolt TM if you thought about getting Jolteon, because it will be Jolteon's main weapon. Due to its high speed, you'll be getting a lot of critical hits, and that means a lot of damage. A negative for Jolteon is its low attack, defense, and HP, but that won't show itself as much of a problem long term because Jolteon is going to get a lot of one-hit KOs once you get a decent training in. By using a Water Stone, you'll get Vaporeon, a pure water type with high HP and special. Water and Ice will be its main attacking types, which will do a lot of damage, but again, be aware of the TM and HM investment. Vaporeon's second best move is Surf, which can be found in the south in the Safari Zone. If you don't want to teach it in HM, then you're gonna have to wait until level 54 to get the move Hydro Pump, a very powerful but slightly inaccurate water move. But HMs and moves aside, Vaporeon's speed is below average as well as attack and defense. Even though Vaporeon will not have as much damage output as Jolteon due to its low speed, its HP allows Vaporeon to endure more punishment. Lastly, if you use the Fire Stone on Eevee, you'll get Flareon, a solid mixed attacking fire type due to its high attack and special. Flareon is an extreme version of Rowlet with its heightened attack and special and low speed and defense. They both have almost the exact same horrible moveset as well. If you didn't choose a Charmander and want a high special fire type and you're playing Pokemon Red, go with Flareon. But if you're playing Pokemon Blue, there are a couple better fire type options out there still. And we're gonna go over the prizes right now over here in the exchange place. So there's 3 little boxes here, kind of like a box office. Yeah, so these are the Pokemon. You can get Pokemon here, and I'm gonna go over the Pokemon that you can get that are new. So yeah, let's start it off with Nidorino. You can buy Nidorino here for 1200 coins in Pokemon Blue, or you can catch one down the road. Either way, if you want a Nidorino, I'd imagine you bought a Nidoran male, caught a Nidoran male early on in the game. But if you still want a versatile all-around Pokemon, Nidorino still fits the bill. Only Pokemon Blue players can buy Pinsir here. It is a bug type with great attack and defense, good speed, and bad special. Its moveset is mostly normal type attacks with fighting attacks interspersed, so that means no same type attack bonus. Although that is a setback, Pinsir makes a good single player sweeper once you teach it strength especially. Be sure to switch out even at the sight of a special attacker. Scyther is Pinsir's Pokemon Red counterpart. It is bug flying, has higher speed and lower defense compared to Pinsir, but every other stat is about the same. Scyther's moveset manages to be worse than Pinsir's because it only knows normal type moves and less of them in general. The only notable positive Scyther is its high crit ratio because of its speed and the move Slash, which it learns at level 29, so pretty soon after you buy it. But besides that, Scyther isn't all that great of a Pokemon. Dratini is the first and only dragon type Pokemon in this game, meaning it's weak to dragon and ice, but since there are no dragon moves that don't do fixed damage, in reality Dratini is only weak to ice type moves. Getting a Dratini in its final form is truly an exercise in patience. It evolves into its second form at level 30, which is fine, but you have to make it to level 55 to get the final form. You can beat the game without even reaching level 55, just for reference. But if you train hard until level 55, you'll be rewarded with the best non-legendary Pokemon in the game. Although leveling may be an issue, power and moveset won't be. Pokemon Red players did get screwed over by the fact that Dratini is at level 18 when you buy it, compared to Pokemon Blue, which is level 24 when you buy it. In Pokemon Blue, in the Japanese version, actually, I didn't know this until doing some research. They don't have to buy Dratini. They buy the second evolution, Dragonair, at level 30 already. So, what the fuck? Nonetheless, Dratini can learn TMs and HMs like Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, and Surf off the bat, making it already a useful member of your team. If you don't mind fighting almost every trainer in the game along the way to get its final form before the final boss, definitely pick up Dratini. It's an awesome Pokemon. Porygon is really expensive for no good reason. It has a great move pool, but its stats just aren't there to make it a viable special attacker long term. Porygon gets evolutions in later games that really beef up its abilities, making it into a really good Pokemon, but that's not this game. Buying Porygon in Gen 1 is like buying an early access game. It may become something great, but give it 10 years. How you doing? How you doing? Oh, hi. You're not a rocket. You came to save us? Why thank you. I want you to have this Pokemon for saving us. Tarek got Lapras. Alright, so it's Lapras. It's very intelligent. We kept it in our lab, but it will be much better off with you. I think it'll be a good trainer for Lapras. I'll be a good trainer for Lapras. Okay, it's a good swimmer. I'll give you a lift. Okay, it'll give you a lift. Really can't read. I'm still messed up in the head. Doesn't help that I'm still recording this right now. But anyways, let's talk about Lapras. Lapras is a fantastic ice water type with high HP and special with solid attack and defense, although its speed is below average, but that shouldn't be much of a problem as though it's one of the best all around tanks in the game. Lapras can be a strong special attacker, mixed attacker, or jack of all trades. Lapras can learn a few powerful special moves through TM and HM, can learn a powerful and useful move in Strength, and can put Pokemon to sleep with its move Sing. And to top it all off, Lapras doesn't evolve, so you don't have to wait to see all its potential. If you want a balanced but great water type, give Lapras a shot. Alright, so these two balls here, this little set of balls here, you get your pick of two Pokemon, one being Hitmonchan and the other being Hitmonlee. So what's this? Hitmonlee, the kicking Pokemon. Hitmonlee is another pure fighting type that has only fighting and normal type moves and a low special stat. But Hitmonlee separates itself with access to kick moves such as rolling kick, jump kick, and high jump kick. High jump kick is the best fighting type move in the game, and only Hitmonlee can learn it. Hitmonlee is a quick and very powerful Pokemon with only two weaknesses, but its downfall is its defense and special. If it misses, chances are it's taking over 50% damage or flat out fainting towards the last third of the game. But that shouldn't be much of a problem because its moves are pretty accurate. Hitmonlee is a great choice if you weren't able to get him a champ, or if you're not really feeling Primeape. Oh Hitmonchan, how generations 1 through 3 screwed you. It's truly sad. Through level up, Hitmonchan can learn Fire Punch, Ice Punch, and Thunder Punch in a vacuum, 3 good coverage moves for any Pokemon. But Fire, Ice, and Electric are all special types, meaning that damage will be calculated using the Pokemon's special stat. Seeing that Hitmonchan's special stat is 35, we've got ourselves a little bit of a problem. Those 3 moves are what make Hitmonchan special, but he can't use it because he has no special. The Duo is a mid-game normal flying type option and a good one. It is a simple Pokemon, high attack and speed, slightly below average in everything else. The Duo only learns normal and flying type attacking moves, which is fine because those moves are strong. And this combination of typing with the moves, normal and flying, allows you to hit every type for at least normal damage. Next up is Raticate, the evolution of Rattata. It's pretty much the same as its predecessor, very versatile, but just doesn't have the stats to back it up. Raticate is usable. I've used it before in past playthroughs, but if you didn't start early with it, you might find yourself fainting a little bit more than usual with Raticate. If you're looking for a versatile normal type Pokemon, look no further than the obstruction in the road. Imagine a golem without all the weaknesses in a fantastic learn set. You get Snorlax. It may not have the great defense of Golem, but Snorlax makes up with it with its astronomical HP. Its special stat is below average, but still usable, especially paired with the fact that Snorlax can learn almost every TM in the game. Snorlax's one true flaw is its speed, but its obvious tanking abilities mitigate that concern. And since Snorlax is a normal type, it probably won't be stepping on any of your team members' toes because you can really mold Snorlax in what you want it to be so it can fit your team accordingly. Snorlax, simply put, great bulk, great power, great versatility, great Pokemon, great option. So let's go over the one new Pokemon we can find on Route 17. It is Spearow. In the beginning of the game, I was very positive about Spearow, but now I'm not so high on Spearow. To be completely honest, Dodrio is better in every meaningful way. So at this point, it wouldn't make much sense to choose Spearow. It's still a solid Pokemon. Similar to Raticate though, better options have came along since the beginning of the game, so keep that in mind. Lickitung is another versatile normal type that can learn some powerful TMs, but that's the only positive. To put it simply, Lickitung has good HP, fine defense, and shitty everything else. Pretty much every other normal type has the same moveset, but far better stats. Lickitung is what we call a collector's piece. The first one is Goldeen. Goldeen is a mediocre water type with its final form's highest stat, which is its attack, at 92 and its lowest, its defense, at 65. Goldeen doesn't really excel or fail at anything. It can learn some powerful normal water and ice moves to make up for the lack of great power. Goldeen can develop into an okay mixed attacker, but not a great one. Goldeen is one of the lesser water types in the game, but it's not a bad Pokemon. Just an average one. Next up is Tentacool, a poison water type that doesn't see much benefit from the poison typing. It does get rid of the weakness to grass, but adds a weakness to ground and psychic. It has good stats to make up for that somewhat. It has very high special and high speed, but it does have below average defense. Tentacool does learn barrier to raise its defense later on if you care to, and if you're a dick, it does know wrap when you catch it. I do like Tentacool, but not as much in this game because it doesn't learn any strong poison type moves to take advantage of the typing. Similarly to Zubat, despite the flaws, Tentacool is a more than usable water type in my eyes. I like Krabby's design and battle cry, but in battle, it can't really hold its own for an extended period of time. Krabby is a pure water type with very high attack and defense stats, but low HP and special. Krabby is really good at doing a lot of damage with normal type moves and nothing else, which is odd for a water type because if you wanted that out of a Pokemon, you're better off with Snorlax or Doduo. Krabby's big flaw is its special stat. Even if it's not a super effective hit, special moves will do big damage against Krabby. And conversely, when Krabby tries to hit super effective special attacks, it will do surprisingly low damage. Krabby trying to take down a fire type with a water type move is like an attractive yet awkward guy trying to ask someone out. Krabby has stuff going for him, but at the core, Krabby is quite inept. Venonat is an average pre-evolved bug type that doesn't bring much of anything new to the table. But if you're able to get Venonat to level 31, you'll get a Pokemon that is simply a better version of Butterfree. Pretty much the same moves but better damage output and speed. I was going to have Venonat on my team, but I decided against it because when you gain access to Venonat, it's best time to use it that's already passed. Not saying going forward it won't dominate still, but there's not as many poison types left in the game that it can really take advantage of, but it's still a great Pokemon and it does require a little bit of patience to get it up to level 31 until then, but it's well worth the rate in my opinion. Exclusive to Pokemon Red, Weeping Bell is the evolution of Bellsprout obviously, and it's still a really good Pokemon. It can do great physical and special damage. It can also drive the opponent insane with status moves paired with the move Wrap. Watch part 15 to truly understand my fucking frustration with the move motherfucking Wrap. But like I said when going over Bellsprout initially, it is a great replacement if you didn't choose Bulbasaur in the beginning. Similar to Weeping Bell but slower and has less attack, the Pokemon Blue exclusive Gloom is just another good grass poison type. There's not much new to say about it, it's still quite good. Ditto is a very unique normal type that only knows the move Transform. This allows the user to take the typing, moveset, and stat buffs of the target Pokemon, which is cool but virtually unusable long term, just for the simple fact that most Pokemon you encounter will resist their own moveset, coupled with the fact that Ditto keeps his original base stats through the transformation, which are all 48. Ditto is useless in this game besides being necessary to complete the Pokédex. another collector's piece. Poliwag is a pure water type that kind of offers something different. Once fully evolved, it'll have high HP and defense with good attack, and as well as a fighting subtyping, which isn't inherently good or bad, but at least it's different. The Poliwag family aren't just physical attackers though, they also have a usable special stat and a decent speed stat. It's also good to know that it isn't limited by its moveset. Once fully evolved, it can learn water, ice, and fighting moves. Remember that you need a water stone though to evolve it the second time to get that water fighting type Pokemon. With the Super Rod, you can catch Seeking for the first time. Seeking is merely the evolution of Goldeen, an average water type, and continues to be an average water type. At this point in the game, you should probably be looking for a more powerful option. Although it isn't terrible itself if you want to go with it, there's just better out there. Parasect is just as bad as its predecessor, with a wide range of weaknesses, horrible speed, and very few words while attacking moves. Parasect just isn't viable at this point in the game. It has a great attack stat, good defense, and special, but has nothing really to complement it. Parasect is a status-inducing Pokemon, which is a role that lends itself more in competitive usage. But in order to do that effectively, you need to have a good speed stat, in my opinion. Parasect does learn Spore, which causes the target to go to sleep with 100% accuracy, but that alone isn't worth it being a fixture on your team. Next up is Execute, which is a very good grass psychic type Pokemon. Its only bad stat is its speed, but everything else is between 85 and 125, which is great, it's fantastic. Its moveset consists of psychic, grass, normal, and status moves, more than enough to work with. This allows you to be a mixed attacker somewhat and be able to stymie teams with sleep or paralysis. Execute has quite a few weaknesses, so be careful, but once you teach it the TM for Psychic and give it a Leaf Stone, it's going to be a powerful and reliable tank. To be frank, Execute takes the power of Alakazam and the bulkiness of Venusaur to create one damn good Pokemon. The Rhyhorn family is the counterpart to the Geodude family in that they have the same typing, similar stats and moveset, and pretty much going to fill the same role in your team. The only difference is that you have to trade with another cartridge to get the full power of Geodude, but you can just level up Rhyhorn to get its full power. Rhyhorn evolves to level 42, which might be asking for too much at this stage in the game, but if you want a physical powerhouse that can have a stab, earthquake, that's the price you pay. Personally, I would pass on Rhyhorn for that reason though. There's no opportunity to beat up on weaker Pokemon to level up like Geodude had early in the game. Still, Rhyhorn can be a good addition to the team. Next up is Chansey, which is super rare, super hard to catch, and super useful in competitive battling, but in single player, it's kinda odd. Chansey is known for its astronomically high HP and great special stat. You can teach Chansey a lot of great special TMs and will use them quite well. The glaring flaw though is the 5 in attack and defense. Even though it has a massive HP stat, physical moves still do considerable damage to it. But Chansey makes up for this with the ability to replenish its own HP with the move Soft Boiled. Chansey is quite slow, but it's faster than Graveler, Rhyhorn, and Machop, which are common threats to Chansey later in the game. It will take a lot of TM investment to make it good as a single player Pokemon, so if you're willing, Chansey is able. Psyduck is pretty much a slightly better version of Goldeen. It has a pretty average moveset, but does have access to some psychic type moves. Psyduck has equal or slightly better stats across the board besides in attack. Besides that, there's nothing much to say about Psyduck. It's a water type that can learn some psychic type moves. It's a solid Pokemon. Slowpoke, not the Warden, the Pokemon, is a psychic water type Pokemon that is effective and potentially deadly. Slowpoke has high defense and HP, good attack and special stats, but it's quite slow. Slowpoke can learn water, psychic, ice moves mainly, which will do good damage. But once you learn the move Amnesia, Slowpoke really can't be stopped. Amnesia raises the user special by 2 stages, which allows you to wall unlike no other and dish out lethal damage with special attacks. This can be very useful while taking on the final bosses, especially if you're underleveled. Slowpoke is a solid Pokemon, and paired with Amnesia, it becomes fantastic. So let's move on to Area 1, that's what it's called, even though it's the second area, whatever. The new Pokemon that we can find in Area 1 is Kangaskhan, which is a powerful physical attacking normal type with high HP, attack, and speed. It's pretty simple. Kangaskhan, teach it Body Slam and let it do work. You can teach it an array of special moves like Surf, but don't waste your time with that bullshit. Just stick to physical moves and you'll be great. We can move on to Area 2. Alright. The new Pokemon in Area 2 is Venomoth, which is the evolution of Venonat. And I already sung its praises while going over Venonat in a couple parts ago. Venomoth is just a better version of Butterfree in every way that matters. And that's coming from someone who loves Butterfree. I know most people just look over most bug types, but this one is actually worth a shot. Tauros is an even more offensive version of Kangaskhan with higher attack and special. Adding to Tauros' damage output is its speed stat, which allows Tauros to get a critical hit ratio of 21%. Tauros' moveset allows it to steamroll Pokemon of any typing due to its diversity. Defensively, Tauros is nothing to scoff at. 75 HP paired with 95 defense gives it a firm padding against physical attackers. Tauros is right next to Snorlax in terms of best normal type in the game, but overall, Tauros is one of the best in the original 151. Now that we have rods and things, there's a new Pokemon that we can find here, which is Poliwhirl. Poliwhirl is the evolution of Poliwag, and if you like what I said about Poliwag earlier on, but was holding off, you can now catch Poliwhirl now and evolve it immediately with the Water Stone. It's a good choice for a water type like I said before, so go ahead and think about it. So in the power plant, there are a lot of new Pokemon here, first of which is Magnemite. Magnemite has a great special stat, but really no move to take advantage of it besides the thunder moves. The lack of diversity means that you're going to have to switch more than usual to keep Magnemite healthy or just to keep the pace up. Another flaw of Magnemite is lack of speed for an electric type, so the chance of getting critical hits is much lower compared to others. Same thing goes for Magneton. It lacks viability in my eyes. It lacks everything we see from it in later games. Exclusive to Pokemon Red, Electabuzz is a fast mix attack and electric type that has access to electric, normal, psychic, and fighting moves. Electabuzz is not built to last with its low defense that may come back to bite it every once in a while, but overall it's a solid electric type choice. Exclusive to Pokemon Blue, Raichu is a pretty good electric type, has great speed, special, and even attack. Raichu's main flaw is its defense, but if used correctly that shouldn't be a problem. Its moveset isn't the greatest, but is more than usable if you're still looking for an electric type. It's the fastest Pokemon in the game, but I still don't like it. Due to its high crit ratio, it can do some serious damage, but its move pool is still shitty and can't really take hits well. Jolteon is a better Pokemon in almost every single way. The legendary Pokemon Zapdos is an electric flying type, making it only weak to rock and ice. It is statistically, by far, the best Pokemon we've encountered thus far. It's able to be a great mixed attacker and gets critical hits frequently due to its high speed. The only flaw with Zapdos is its lack of a diverse offensive moveset, but it has what it needs to be dominant. If you intend on using this on your team the rest of the game, it will be made much easier. The first of which is Shelter. Shelter is a pure water type that becomes an ice water type as soon as you use the Water Stone on it. It specializes in defense and attack, which isn't too common for water type Pokemon, but still can be effective. Its special stat is good enough to take advantage of its typing. Shelter's arsenal is limited to water, ice, and normal moves. It's very important to stress that once it evolves, it will have extremely high defense. Its HP isn't too hot, but still this comes in handy when facing any physical attacker. It can take hits and deal good damage once evolved. Shelter is a good option if you don't mind grinding at this point in the game because you are getting it at level 15, I believe. The other new Pokemon we can find here is Staryu. It is more conventional than Shelter, and that's a simple, fast, special attacking Pokemon with a good move pool. Once evolved with the Water Stone once again, Staryu becomes a water psychic type that learns water, ice, psychic, and electric moves. This combination will allow you to maul most of the boss battles left in the game, but you're going to have to grind quite a bit at this point because again, you're catching that level 15. You can get away with being a little under level because it is quite fast and it does learn to move recover, can recover a lot of HP, but be aware of the headache of catching a new Pokemon at this point. In closing, Staryu is a very good Pokemon and is definitely worth a shot in a game where you can catch it a little bit earlier on. Seal is a water type that will evolve into an ice and water type, which doesn't really offer anything different from other water types because most of them can already learn ice moves via TM. To cut to the chase, Seal is like most other water types but just adds an ice subtype once it's evolved. Seal doesn't learn any unique moves or have a unique stat spread to make it any more viable than Lapras or Cloyster. Seal is not bad, it's just better. Golbat has a bad move pool, weak to common types, and its stats just aren't great. Catch Golbat only to complete the Pokédex. Golduck is an above average water type because it has solid stats all around and able to learn more than ice and water moves. It doesn't have the power of a Starmie or the bulk of a Vaporeon, but it is good nonetheless. I went over the potential dominance when talking about Slowpoke. It's never too late to add a great Pokemon like this to your team. I don't believe I know. Just like I know that Dewgong isn't that great. If you're still mulling over if you're going to add Seal to your team, stop. Dewgong sucks too. I'll frame it like this. The added ice typing allows it to get stabbed on an additional type, but also adds 2 weaknesses. Seadra is the evolved form of Horsea and it's just not great. Its move pool is the average water, ice, and normal moves that a lot of water types have. Its stats are good, but not close to the top water types we already encountered. Seadra would probably stand out if it had another evolution that added a subtyping or something. I don't know. Maybe the next generation. Kingler is the evolution of Krabby, and it's just as bad, for the exact same reasons. It has a low special stat, and when your weaknesses and stat moves are special, it's not great. Kingler's strength is its attack, which in practice doesn't matter because the only physical moves it knows are normal type. And there's just nothing else to say. Kingler just sucks. The legendary ice flying type Articuno has fantastic stats but are frustrating in the shadow move pool. It can only learn powerful ice and normal type moves, which is not a great combination. Articuno can't even learn Drill Peck, which is a goddamn shame. It is surprisingly unviable in this game. It can still be a weapon on our team based on the stats just alone, but it's definitely not as useful as Zapdos. It's still gonna be a bitch to catch though. Do you have a Venonat? Want to trade for a Tangela or a Tangela? I'm pretty sure it's Tangela because it's Tangled and Flagella mixed together. It makes Tangela. Anyways, the point is, with a complete dearth of attacking moves, Tangela is not a very good Pokemon for trainer battles, but since it knows a lot of stats inducing moves, Tangela can be useful for catching wild Pokemon. Either way you decide to use it, if you don't have a Venonat to trade, you can just catch a Tangela in a patch of grass that's just south of Pallet Town. Ponyta has higher attack and speed, and the positives pretty much stop there. Its move pool is just as bad as Vulpix's or Growlithe's, if not worse. Also, the fact that fire types aren't that useful in the rest of the game also doesn't help its case. We've encountered many Coughing in our journey, and now we have the opportunity to catch one. It has high defense and good attack and special. Its move pool is not good though. Its strongest stab move is Sludge, which is 65 power. It can learn Thunderbolt and Fire Blast, which isn't enough for me to consider it in this game because TMs are so limited, but that might be a good option for you. Grimer is supposed to be the alternative to Coughing, but it's just a shittier poison type. It has high HP and attack, okay good, but average to below average defense and special. It barely has any physical moves to speak of. What's the point of the high HP if you have poor defenses? It's weak to common types and ground and psychic, and it's slow as Sludge. The evolution of Coughing has not gained the ability to learn better moves or to make it Gen 4, so I just don't see it with Weezing. I don't have anything to say about Muck besides its name backwards is cum, which is very fitting considering that it sucks so much dick. Magmar. He's exclusive to Pokemon Blue, an okay fire type that has good stats but lacking in move pool. It can be a mixed attacker with fire punch and strength, but honestly, the last thing you need on your team right now is a fire type. We know a lot about Pidgeotto. We've seen a lot of Pidgeys in the wild in the past, but you can finally catch the evolved form Pidgeotto. It is a viable Pokemon in a vacuum. Good typing, solid stats, average move pool, but it's way too late in the game to add a normal flying type that's in its early 30s when you catch it. especially if you have battled most of the trainers already, meaning that there's little time and little experience to train this up. The first of which is exclusive to Pokemon Red is Arbok. It is not good for these upcoming battles, it's lacking in pretty much every department. I'm not saying it's a bad Pokemon, it's just not used for this part of the game. If you wanted Arbok, you should have caught Ekans a very long time ago. Sandslash is exclusive to Pokemon Blue, and like I said earlier in the game with Sandshrew, it's a lesser version of Golem in terms of stats and moveset, but it's still very effective in the right circumstance. Even though we're so close to the end, there are still new Pokemon that are actually okay late game pickups if you're still looking for one. The best of which is Graveler. Y'all know how I feel about the Geodude family, it's fantastic. I love Golem, and if you don't even have access to another system to trade Graveler, it will still fare well at this point. You can catch it here at a decent level, and it'll already know Earthquake. If you still have the team for Rock Slide, go ahead and use it here. Graveler does have its weaknesses, all 5 of them, so it might be a liability for you at this point, but it doesn't take a genius to put its high defense and attack to good use. I'm mixed on Machop just like I was mixed on Machop. It's a slow one-dimensional physical attacker with a weak special stat. If you decide to pick it up, it can do well at the beginning of the Elite 4 challenge, but as you progress it becomes unusable and useless because of its stats, limited move pool, and typing. So it doesn't have much going for it. Maybe I'm not that mixed on it. If you want a Pokemon that has access to the same type attack bonus Earthquake, and you also need something to learn Ice Beam, Marowak could solve your problems. It has an average attack stat and substandard special, but if you want something unique but still somewhat effective, Marowak is here. Golem is by far a superior ground type because of the added rock typing, giving it more resistances, and the Golem is simply more powerful. But Marowak can be used to get rid of Dragonair, a Pokemon that will give you trouble if you don't have powerful non-resisted moves. Admittedly, Marowak isn't the best option at this point, but I can't say it's useless. The legendary Bird of Fire, Moltres, is a fireball of potential. Moltres' special stat is very high and its other stats are well above average. Its typing gives it 3 weaknesses, 4 resistances, and an immunity to ground. Here's where the negatives come in. Its learn set is kinda shitty. When you catch it at level 50, it knows Peck and Fire Spin. Peck is horrible at this point, and Fire Spin is an interesting move for reasons I'll get into during the battle, but it's definitely far from the best. You can teach Fire Blast if you still have the TM, which makes it a big threat, but it only has 5 PP. Moltres can also learn Sky Attack at level 60, if you're interested in that. If you don't mind trading Moltres to the Gen 2 games, you can teach a Flamethrower there and trade it back. Moltres with Flamethrower is fantastic, but if you're not able to get it, I would say pass on Moltres as a team member. So now I'm going to go over the new Pokemon that we can find on the first floor of the Unknown Dungeon. First off is Hypno. If you were to get Drowsy earlier in the game and train it to Hypno, you probably found yourself quite satisfied with its high special and pretty good HP. Hypno may not be the best psychic type due to its lesser speed, but can tear through teams and tank special damage just like all the other top tier psychics. Hypno has a decent moveset as well, but it only really needs one move, and that's Psychic, which is learned at level 37. Obviously you're not getting Hypno for your team now, probably just for Pokédex completion, so I'm not giving it a viability rating because there's no trainer battles left. But let it be known, for this game, Hypno is pretty good, and due to the special stats split next generation, Hypno is actually at its best in this game. The evolution of Doduo, a normal flying type, has a moveset just consisting of normal and flying type attacks. Its base stats are great for an in-game team, high speed and attack. Forget about special and defense, who needs it? Not Dodrio, most of the time. With strong moves like Drill Peck and Tri Attack, Dodrio can easily fill a spot on your team, as well as being a flying friend. Anyways, if you wanted it on your team, you could have got a Doduo on Cycling Road way back when, but now it serves as means of Pokédex completion. I've given high praise to the Aber family, saying that it is the best psychic family in the main game, with its obscenely high special and speed stats paired with the ability to hit every type in the game besides psychic type for at least neutral damage, makes Kadabra and Alakazam one of the most offensively powerful Pokemon in the game. Though, you do have to trade to get Alakazam, which can be a hassle, and truthfully that is the only drawback in my eyes. It does have the same one-dimensional moveset archetype that Motion Pokemon have, but that doesn't matter in this case because you only need one move. and that's Psychic. Kadabra and Alakazam are two of the best Pokemon statistically with the best typing in the game. Wigglytuff is as effective in battle as it is intimidating to look at. Its low speed, special, and defense make it a sitting duck to pretty much everything. It has a decent attack stat and great HP, but its massive amount of health won't make it effective in battle, just able to hang around for an extra turn. Its moveset? Well, it's actually great, with access to TMs like Ice Beam, Bubble Beam, Hyper Beam, Solar Beam, but sadly not the Death Beam. It can also learn Thunderbolt, Psychic, Fire Blast, Rest, and Tri-Attack. Wigglytuff has one of the best movesets in the game, which can mitigate its pretty paltry attacking stats, but defensively, it's still quite poor. Wigglytuff is usable, but can easily be knocked out, which can make it hard to raise. Anyways, it's the only Moonstone evolution you can catch in the wild, so you can't catch it here to save a Moonstone for one of the other 3 Pokemon that needed to evolve. And it is Rhydon. Rhydon is the evolved form of Rhyhorn and is the equivalent of Golem. If you haven't been watching the walkthrough, I'll fill you in. I love Golem in this game particularly, so by transitive property, I love Rhydon. Both have high attack, defense, and HP with low special and speed. Rhydon has the edge with a wider array of TM moves though. The reason I didn't recommend picking up Rhyhorn over Geodude early in the game is because Rhyhorn evolves at level 42, whereas Golem can be obtained as soon as level 25. In closing, Rhydon is a great physical attacker, but takes a lot of grinding to get during the main game. Mewtwo, the product of ambitious yet horrific DNA engineering, resting in the toughest cave in all the land, as if waiting for a worthy opponent. Well, we have come to conquer. Mewtwo is a pure psychic type and has the highest special stat in the game, but is by no means one-dimensional. Its stats across the board are phenomenal, with a moveset to complement. Mewtwo can learn 2/3 of all TMs in this game. Luckily, this Mewtwo hasn't learned any of them yet. Hopefully, you have come prepared, or at least saved before like I have, because Mewtwo is the strongest Pokemon in all of Kanto. But that's all, man. Thanks to everyone for watching and supporting me. This playthrough has been quite the ordeal. And I think everyone who ever complimented me, ever gave me a compliment and basically confirmed that I'm going in the right direction with this stuff. Because it's sometimes get really tough making these videos, and sometimes, you know, you just get the negative thoughts in your head. And I just need all the positivity in my life I can get. And sometimes when I upload these videos, no one watches them, but when some people do, and I get that feedback, it just makes me want to keep going on and keep getting better. Just like Pokemon Generation 1, my best has yet to come. Thank you.